Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're really glad you're here with us today. In this week's video, we're going to be sharing all of our 2021 plans with you. I hope you'll watch the whole video.
Every Wednesday here on our channel, we come out with a new video, typically talking about our early retirement or our nomadic lifestyle. In 2015, we left our careers in our late 40s, and in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads.
That's right. Please subscribe over here, give us a like the video, and let's get started with our plan. Before we get into where we're going to be, I do want to say that just a few weeks ago, we shared how we aren't really going to be making the long-term advanced planning and that we're embracing the shorter notice. And in fact, we have embraced some of the shorter notice plans, and you're going to hear about that today.
So before we actually get going with the remainder of the year, and it's basically late January as we're recording this, but we'll talk about what we've done this year and what our plans were that have already changed for January, actually for February forward. So when we started our year, we were in Scottsdale, Arizona. We made our way to the Austin, Texas area. We had 2 house sits booked here. One was basically a month that started early January and went through early February, and then we actually had 2 months that were on the books that were again in the Austin area. That house sit actually fell apart. The homeowner was planning to go to Europe, and the place where they were planning to go shut down, so they weren't actually able to make that trip happen until a variety of things have to come together for that to go. And so those plans, that being off the plate, we actually had a situation. I'm going to let Amy describe what that is, but a friend has actually hooked us up in the area, and that was a little complex, but she'll describe what that looks like.
And before our Wednesday video came out, in just the Saturday beforehand, that is when we got confirmation, just a few days before this video, we got confirmation that in fact this is our next plan is happening. So we didn't know where we were going after our current house sit, and it was less than 2 weeks out, and we did not have a firm plan. So one of my long-term girlfriends from over 20 years ago back in New York City has moved back home to the hill country of Texas, and she is heading to South Africa on a 6-week volunteer project in a safari, on a safari reserve. So she said that we could have her place if she's able to go, but that if she's able to go right now is a really big deal because well, it was a really big deal because she needed to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of her flight, and it is 36 hours of her flying to get there. 3 flights had to happen for her to get there, and the country had to let her in. So we just on Saturday we woke up to confirmation of I'm in Africa, so we are good to go. So that means that Tim and I so we had not even 2 weeks not knowing where we would be, and now we know where we're going to be. So we'll be in somewhere in between Austin and San Antonio for about a month, and we'll just pay like a nominal kind of a rent there to her, but we're there for a full month.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that situation. And also this weekend, we nailed down a house sit for 3 little dogs in the Washington, D.C. area that starts about 10 days after our situation wraps up in the hill country. That sit is over, it's 9 weeks? Is that right?
9 weeks.
9 weeks. And so we're very excited to be in one place for 9 weeks. And it's great to have this plan. So even though we've said again and again that we're open to the idea of being flexible, we certainly love having a plan on the books, and the fact that this is 9 weeks is phenomenal. So we're very excited about being there. There's a lot of great things about D.C., including the fact that we have family there, and we're very excited about the potential to be there with our family, as well as it's just a nice place to be. It's a great season to be there. We'll get to see the cherry blossoms, and so we're thrilled about that potential. Then also
So and there's an in between. So before you end, also sorry. So in between the Texas and Washington D.C., we will be driving there. So when Tim said we have about 10 days, we have about 10 days free because we still actually it's about 2 weeks from our friend coming home and our house sit starting. So we're going to be up in this is the tentative plans that we have actually hotel nights booked, but we have 3 nights booked in Houston. We have 5 nights booked in the Florida Panhandle, which will be my very first time there. It'll be mid-March, so hopefully really nice weather. We drive up to Charlotte, North Carolina, where my mom, stepdad, and my sister and her family live, and then we meander up to Colonial Williamsburg, which is a beautiful part of the world, in March, and then to Washington, D.C. So we are hoping that we might see some viewers along the way.
Yep, and the beauty of this also is all these situations, basically from the start of January through, by the way, the sit in DC wraps up late May. And so the beauty of this situation is that throughout this time, we basically don't have any rent. It's very nominal. So to have lodging, including even in the 10 or 14 days that we'll be on the road, that'll probably be points and miles that we'll be using to make that happen. And so for 5 months, we effectively don't have any rent. And so that is going to help with our budget. And so we'll be sharing that with you on a monthly basis in terms of what that looks like.
Okay, so we are firm until the end of May, and then we get to more loosey-goosey. So viewers of our channel reached out and asked us to house it for them in Spain, on the coast of Spain. So if we can get vaccinated and get to Spain, if they allow us in, then we are chomping at the bit for that. I'm really excited. So that would be most of June and July, and then I have a girlfriend I used to work with in Denver who has moved over to Sweden and has dogs in Sweden and a lot of vacation time. So maybe we will be house sitting for them in the month of August. So we'll have to consider the Schengen 90-day visa. We certainly know about that. And we're looking to hopefully be in Europe from about June 1st-ish to about the middle of September.
Yep, and then once that wraps up, so like Amy said, we have some parameters obviously with this 90-day limitation, but once that wraps up, we're coming back to the States. In the middle of September, we actually have a conference. It's back here in Texas. It's in Austin, and it's called FinCon. It's a financial media conference, and so we're very excited about participating in that. And that is about I don't know how long is that, 5 days that conference is. And then we're also hoping to do some other things here in the States. We're looking to be here potentially for roughly 2 months. We hope to go back to Denver and see family and friends, as well as potentially participate in the Great American Beer Festival and or the Denver Film Festival. Assuming any of this stuff comes together in person this year, we would love to do those things, and so we'll see how that comes together. And then after all that wraps up, we have something on the books. I'll let Amy elaborate on what that is, but it starts roughly at the Thanksgiving time frame and takes us through the end of the year.
Yeah, so we secured this house sit in the middle of 2019, 2.5 years early. How crazy is that now? 2.5 years early, we're making plans. But we are going to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, a place we have been before and absolutely love. And both of those trips were too short. They were both about a week or less. So now we're going to be looking to go for about 6 weeks, and about Thanksgiving through the New Year in San Miguel for a dog sit. And so that is something that is super exciting if that comes through. And then after that, we're looking to get to Asia because we had to cancel our trip this past year. We've never been to Asia, and we're really excited. So that would start in January of 2022. So again, while we talk about that we don't want all these firm plans, we don't have firm plans after June the 1st. And having a good house sit on the books in a fantastic place of the world, Washington, D.C., at one of their peak seasons, which would be spring, is something that makes us, that fits in with our plan. So we're real happy about that.
Yeah, and just one other comment about the San Miguel situation. So we certainly, in the future, based upon our experiences this year, we certainly wouldn't be booking anything. Well, I shouldn't say certainly, because you never know. If something amazing comes up, there's some chance we would commit to something that far out. But it's just being tied to a certain spot in the world so far out really ties us down to, and we want the flexibility to go and do whatever it is we want to do at the given moment. And so unless it's something phenomenal, which we believe this thing in San Miguel will be, we still probably wouldn't be putting something on the books that far out.
And if Europe falls through, then we don't know what we're doing. We're probably going to still keep meandering around the United States. We still don't know what we would be doing with our car if Europe happens. It's only 3.5 months. So we're probably going to be leaving it in Washington, D.C. or in the Charlotte area. Hopefully we have a place to leave that. We don't even know about that. So we don't really need to know those details. This is kind of like a rough plan starting June 1st. And we don't need backup plans or anything like that because it is really far out. Even like 4 or 5 months out is so far out. And that's quite different for both of us.
Like Amy said, for 2022, we have this Asia plan on the books, and we're excited about that as well. But I guess we do still like having these plans, even though they're tentative. We like the idea of having at least a framework in place for what's going to happen, and so that's what it looks like we're going to be doing in 2021.
Yeah, and what I want to know from our audience members is, first of all, do you live along the path of Texas over to Florida and up to DC? If so, we would like to see you. Although Charlotte is probably the only place that we don't want to see you because we only have a few days and really close friends and family are there and they keep us real busy. But other than that, we want to see you. And also, I want to know for 2021, are you planning? How far are you planning out in advance? Do you see yourself taking any trips? So I want to hear about your plans for 2021 down below. With that, see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for watching.